Siegfried?
Yes.
Approval of bills numbered 1 through 114.
I would so move.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
And the following payments from Chesterville, Johnsville, Ketterman, and Sunoco customers. Next, we have an appropriation of unappropriated certified monies for the Dog and Kennel Fund for fuel.
Also move.
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
Appropriation of unappropriated certified monies for Job and Family Services Fund, Children's Services.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
Transfer of funds for the General Fund Commissioners for fuel.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
Transfer of funds from the Engineers Fund.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
Transfer of funds for the General Fund Law Enforcement to cover fuel.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
And a transfer of funds for the Sheriff's Fund 2907 for supplies.
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
Approval of change order number 2 for 2022 Morrow County Contract Paving Project South Bid, and approval for chairman to sign.
So moved. I'll second it.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
Approval of pay request number 2 for project 2022 Morrow County Contract Paving Project South Bid, and approval for chairman to sign.
So moved. I'll second it.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
Approval of change order number 1 for engineers project MRW CR 11 2.86 bridge project.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes.
And approval of pay request number 2 for project MRW CR 11 2.86 for the engineer, and approval for chairman to sign.
So moved.
I'll second it. The project is getting done.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
Yes.
Mr.
They brought the
Abraham?
prosecutor in
Yeah.
for fucking backup.
Yes.
Call to our 11 o'clock hearing.
Hey, it's early, but are we okay to?
Hey, I'm good if you're good.
All right, we're good. We're good.
I just want to know if any progress has been made on requests, the public information requests I did a month ago.
As far as, have you gotten any information at all?
I submitted you and Mr. Abraham a letter
Okay.
on the monies that cost to do the background investigations on members of the hospital advisory board.
And we took that and submitted it to our county prosecutor to find out if there was any problems or anything, so. Tom, do you have anything you can add at this point as far as?
What request was that? What request was that?
I asked for the cost of what the investigation was on hospital advisory board members.
The only thing I've gotten was a request that you sent to my office for copies of the invoices.
Pardon?
So the only thing that I've gotten was what you sent to me. I don't.
Well, I submitted a request to them.
Okay. Did I get that? I don't remember getting the request.
Yeah, so that part's still under review. And then the other request that Mr. Griffith has is about the timesheets, and the details of the timesheets. So, and that's what prosecutor's note is.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's still under review is what you're
We're
telling me?
still, yeah, we're still looking to find out
Okay.
information.
Well, I know Mr. Abraham and Siegfried wasn't there at the time these background investigations were done. It was the other commissioners. Can you answer why the background investigations were done?
I wouldn't be commenting on anything at this time.
Can you speak up?
Sure, I would not be commenting on anything at this time.
Well, it's taxpayers' money. I mean, they just like know how it was spent. So, I mean, why can't you answer the question?
Well, again, this is a comment period. You're allowed to make comments. We won't be answering any questions.
Okay then. Well, I guess that's it. So you won't answer the question.
We're still looking into it, so hopefully we can get you,
Okay.
it becomes available.
But it'd be interesting to know why they were done in the first place.
Anybody else? Donna?
Please. Well, I have a lot of questions, but if you're not going to answer them, I guess I'll just read them, and if you wish to respond, you can, and if you don't, well, I guess that's your prerogative.
Right, okay.
I'm going to go ahead and stand so that you can hear me. On July 6th, there was a job posting in the Morrow County Sentinel for a Director of Operations. And now I want to preface my comments with, I'm not opposed to that position being created at all. I'm aware we've had a Director of Operations before, and with Mr. Ware retiring, I can understand why this would be a good time to make that transition. But I have some questions about it. And to give you a little background so you understand why I have the questions. For approximately the past 10 years, I received the electronic version of the agenda ahead of time that's sent out to interested parties. And I look at each agenda, and if there's something I want to know more about, I try to attend the commissioner sessions. A lot of times because of other obligations, I can't attend. But I do go online and I watch the video recordings or I read the minutes. And I did not see in the agendas emailed to me any mention of the development of this new position. I've gone back through probably the past year almost of agendas and didn't see the mention of this position. But then I saw the posting in the newspaper, so I went to the commissioner's website to read the journals and watch the video recordings. Just on a side note, your July 6th meeting, which was recorded after the new cameras installed, has no audio. Okay, you know. Also, the old camera system, the dates and times on the videos don't match the actual date and times of your meetings, just so that you're aware. People need to, but she does, when they're up on the website, whoever does that does put the correct date and time. So they just need to be aware that that's the correct time, not what's on the video. So on June 27th, the commissioners had a morning session at 9 a.m. Session recessed at 9:14. There was no mention of this position in the morning session when public was in attendance. At 2:20, the commissioners returned to regular session. Mr. Ware was in attendance, but there was no other public. But on the morning session, there was no announcement that you would be returning to an afternoon session. On the video, Mr. Siegfried, you mentioned that you want to prepare a posting for Mr. Ware's replacement, and possibly as the Director of Operations position rather than that. And you were going to discuss the job description. And there was the hope that the posting would be ready by Wednesday. And then Mr. Whiston says you have to have it Wednesday to post potentially in July. And then Mr. Siegfried, you say, so we would, and this was more like a question than a statement you were asking, so we would approve that on the 29th. Then Commissioner Whiston says, we'll advertise starting in July and have someone by the 1st of September so that we have a roughly 4 months to work with the process. That session lasted 3 minutes and 8 seconds and was the only item discussed. The official minutes don't reflect that this was discussed, and the intended approval mentioned on the video was not on the June 29th agenda that's given to the general public ahead of time. So why, as the public, are we only finding out about the creation of this position by watching videos and not in the minutes of the session of the 27th and not added to the June 29th agenda? Just, okay. All right, then we go to the June 29th meeting. Regular session is at 9 a.m. In attendance is Alberta Sokovic from the Morrow County Sentinel and Mr. Ware. The session adjourns at 9:14. Then the new cameras were installed, so there's no video available after that time, only audio. So I would like to make a public records request of the audio recording from June 29th, please, when they return to session. According to the minutes, commissioners returned to regular session at 2:06 p.m. The journal / minutes, whatever you want to call it, refer to them as, does not reflect the time the session ended. And without video, I don't know how long it lasted. But there were a couple of brief financial items and the approval of the job description for the Director of Operations. I'm just curious, why was the job description and creation of this position passed with no advance notice to the public, and it was done during an afternoon session? I would think that you would want some public input on that.
Well, afternoon session is public.
Right, but there's no announcement on the agenda that you're going to discuss it, so we don't know to come back. I'm just asking. Okay. So those are the only times that I saw this discussion. Was there other discussion on this position that's not in recorded sessions? Because it's very extensive. I can't see how you didn't have other discussion. As I mentioned before, I'm aware that we've had a Director of Operations before. I really don't recall the job description or the qualifications or the essential functions of the job being that extensive and encompassing as much as this one does. If a prospective candidate has all the experience required for the position that you've outlined in the minutes, why would they need then 4 months of on-the-job training with Mr. Ware? That seems like a really long time to be paying 2 people when you have indicated in the past that you're trying to be fiscally conservative. So also as a public records request, I am requesting a copy of the job description for the Director of Operations that was in effect in 2007, please. Who recommended the change from Economic Development Director to a Director of Operations? And who compiled this current job description and qualifications for the position? Okay. Will this position eliminate then the Economic Development Director position? I'm asking because if so, in reading the description, the extensiveness of the duties that's in this, it seems to me that the person hired would have very little time for actual economic development. The position lists serving as a liaison for the following committees and boards, and there's quite a few county boards and committees. But the hospital's not included, and I was just curious as to why that was omitted. Or I believe Mr. Ware is retiring January 1st, is that correct? Or end of December, sometime soon, approximately. The qualifications for this new position seem very specific and narrow down the field of possible applicants to a minute few. Was this job created with someone specific in mind for the job? I am aware that other counties, and I'm not saying this is what you're doing, but this is, other counties have created a similar position to give an elected official who lost re-election a county job. I'm also aware of the circumstances surrounding the previous Director of Operations, and again, the 3 of you were not commissioners at that time. But I am aware that when they did the previous Director of Operations, That position was created to eliminate the economic development director position so that the person serving in that position could be let go. Okay. Was the new auditor-elect or new commissioner-elect consulted on this position while it was created? How does this position work with the Budget Commission? Because and I know it's okay. I mean, reading the Ohio Revised Code, that's, doing the budget is absolutely in the Ohio Revised Code. I'm just wondering how that would work with the Budget Commission. Item 10 states, acts in the commissioner's absence to make decisions regarding daily organizational functions. When one sits and reads the entire document, it really gives the impression of a fourth commissioner, only a non-elected one. And I'm going to address this to Mr. Siegfried and Mr. Abraham. Have you considered how this looks to your constituents? With the outgoing commissioner playing a role in choosing a director of operations, that the incoming commissioner and incoming auditor will have to work with. I'm hoping you consulted them. But to restate my public records request, I'm requesting the audio of June 29th, the afternoon commissioner session, and I'm requesting a copy of the director of operations job description that was in effect in 2007. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Draco, anything? Yeah.
You want to record? Thank you, Mr. Siegfried. I had a outstanding public records request that I emailed to Cheryl Heacock in June, and receiving no kind of acknowledgement that it was received, I then resent it to Mr. Ware several weeks later, and I have a copy here that I'll give to you. Basically, in the January 2020 lawsuit that Mr. Whiston was the relator that he filed against the hospital in Morrow County Common Pleas Court, paragraph 85 said that when the commissioners redid the RFP process immediately following the hospital board's RFP process, and this would be in the spring of 2019 and extending into the summer, paragraph 85 of the lawsuit said that the Board of Commissioners received many attractive offers in response to their RFP. And paragraph 86 says that one such proposal was by a company called Avita Health System. So what I am requesting is that the offers that were made other than Avita, because Avita's offer was made public, be produced as a matter of public record. If any offers were covered by a non-disclosure agreement, I request the non-disclosure agreement be made public. And if any verbal offers were made, then I would request any entity that made a verbal offer be disclosed so I can contact them for a release of that information. And if none of the above are available, then I assume the claim made in the lawsuit that many attractive offers were made was false, and that no other offers were made other than the Avita offer. So generally, the Attorney General's website states that all requests for public records should be acknowledged in writing or, if feasible, satisfied within 3 business days. So I don't know if there was an email problem. The addresses look correct, but I never received a response either from Cheryl or from Mr. Ware that the request was even received, let alone acted on. And so since that's coming up on a month now, I just wanted to keep that process moving forward. So I have a copy of these emails that I'll hand in.
Thank you.
And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Connie, Mr. Treasurer, anything?
Yeah, just a quick FYI. Second half real estate collections ended Friday before the penalty. We were here till 7 o'clock Friday night, got balanced, so yay. unbelievable job trying to get all that put together. We're in the 5% penalty now. If you pay, that's for 10 days. After the 10 days, it goes to 10%. So I'll have some more to report to the elected officials, but for now, yay that we're balanced.
Good. Ms. Schroeder, anything this morning?
Nothing additional, sir.
Well, then I would make a motion that, yeah, Tom, go ahead.
Do have some good news. The governor sent out announced grants to prevent gang violence and improve law enforcement staffing levels. I informed the sheriff that Morrow County has been the recipient for the sheriff's office of $587,141.08, which will be greatly appreciated. And again, we appreciate the commitment of the governor and his administration. They awarded $9.9 million to 25 local law enforcement agencies, and I think we were probably one of the highest to receive that money. So we're very appreciative of that. We continue to work with the administration to fund those needs that we have, whether it be safety or infrastructure, and we continue to look at the positive things going on in Morrow County.
That's a big deal, $500,000 to our sheriff's department.
Yep. So
Just to our sheriff's department, and they can use it, so we feel good about that.
Very good.
I was just gonna add that, we're not trying to do anything buying anybody back. We just, that's never been our intention. We're just trying to look in the future, look forward to what Morrow County is changing to. And I have personally spoke to commissioners in surrounding counties that have administrators and operations managers, and it works well for them. It frees up the commissioners so they don't have to deal with the day-to-day issues of the employees and the department heads. But there's a lot of, it's nothing that we decided overnight. In fact, Commissioner Siegfried and I, when we first got in office, that was one of the first things that we looked at. So it's been that long a time that we've looked at this. And we are being sensitive to who we're looking at. We don't have nobody in mind. So, and I believe as of this morning we have, is it 2 resumes?
Mm-hmm.
So, and they look good. The resumes look good, what we received. So, this is something we're looking at, and I think it's a positive thing for the county. I think it's a positive thing for the commissioner's office and for the rest of the department heads and elected officials. So, Don, I appreciate your questions. They were good questions, and I'll look at them, and so maybe we can get together. But again, we're not trying to do anything behind anybody's back.
It's just appearances, you know what I mean?
Well,
And we wanna have trust with our commissioners, so.
absolutely. So that's all I got to say. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Well, at this time, then I would make a motion to recess.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Mr. Whiston?
yes.
Mr. Abraham?
Yes.
Mr. Siegfried?
Yes. And I thank you all for coming.
Thank you.